Parasocial narratives have always been bad in my life. Parasocial narrative is one where you live out a day, a life, a situation, whatever it may be, with someone in your mind. Now, when I say this, I mean it in a long sense, because it's completely normal to predict how something will happen, but only in the short term. Anxiety is predicated upon the anticipation of future events, which are most commonly blown out of proportion and have a very high likelihood of not being anywhere near as impactful or severe as the subject is imagining in their parasocial narrative. Now, I've just made up this term because I know a parasocial relationship is one where one person knows the other, but the other doesn't know that one person. It's a one-way relationship. It's seen very commonly now on the internet because of content creators, YouTubers, streamers, whatever. But my relationship with parasocial narratives has not been good. More often than not, a parasocial narrative has always resulted in a negative outcome, because for some reason, the narrative I perpetuate in my mind in a situation will always end badly. I don't know why, but I think it's actually a sign of bad mental health. So if you catch yourself doing something like this, you need to self-examine and observe why it's happening. For me, it was probably just simply because I cared what other people thought of me. And I was so caught up in trying to be flawless that I didn't actually do anything. You can't be flawless without putting yourself out there in the first place. A lot of these people these days think that if they can't be a perfectionist in a social situation or any situation, a financial one, academic one, there's no point in doing it. I used to have this belief, but it's completely stupid. People will like you more if you're not afraid of saying something wrong, rather than you being afraid of saying something wrong. Humor is spontaneous. It doesn't have to be intentional. Just because comics plan their entire set of material doesn't mean that's the only way of being humorous. In fact, I'd say the majority of humor is so spontaneous that the thinking brain has absolutely no interaction with the action whatsoever. It's all based on feelings and thoughts in the moment. Going back to the parasocial narratives, I suspect a very prevalent example and situation that this happens in is, it can happen in mostly any social situation, but in my experience it's always been thinking about approaching someone I find attractive. Now, whether this is because my mind amplifies the synthetic consequences of my mind, or I naturally think the stakes are higher, I don't know. But that's definitely the main example and situation that occurs in. But it's not exclusive to it. And the example today was, I was in the gym today with one of my friends, and he was hitting legs. I had just done a push workout and I was stretching, and I saw out the corner of my eye a guy I had met during Freshers. Freshers Week in the UK is at universities. It's the first week where no lectures are happening, no schoolwork, not schoolwork, but academic work is taking place, and it's just one massive long party, right? It was a great week. But after, I haven't been going out as much. I assumed he'd been going out at the same frequency and intensity he had been during Freshers Week. And that there was the first. That was the seed that was planted that would later predicate the whole parasocial narrative. Because this then evolved into him just not even approaching me, because he thought, oh, if I haven't seen him out much, is he like a weird guy? I don't know. And it's these constant stories I play out in my head where I try and put myself in the shoes of someone else, but through a negative lens. Because why would he inherently think negatively of me in that situation? That's something my mind has assumed. So why is that the case? Because if parasocial narratives are not inherently bad, why are mine the majority of the time negative? Because if this theory of mine follows the law of attraction, where the thoughts you think directly have an effect on the actions you perform throughout the day, if I could train my brain to act out parasocial narratives in a positive light, through a positive lens, how powerful would that be? Because if it's at the same intensity of how negatively it has played a part in my life, if that positive, if it can just flip from a 0 to a 1, like binary, instead of getting rid of parasocial narratives entirely, why can't I flip the switch and use it as a superpower instead? And even just saying that, I can already start to hear the limiting beliefs in my mind, which are trying to stop me from acting out that method throughout the day. It's the exact same ones I mentioned earlier. What if you say something wrong? What if you come across as too open? What if you overshare? What if you come across as too plentiful so people don't value you as much? It's definitely an experiment I want to try. And if I can train my brain to perform parasocial narratives in a positive light, I will. But if it doesn't work that way, then you have to try and detoxify yourself. That's if it's a bad thing. If it's inherently a negative thought spiral. Just on this actually, this whole parasocial narrative theory links very closely in with the conversation spiral, which I've mentioned in a previous video. That can be seen as like a subsect of a greater umbrella term of parasocial narratives, and then conversation spiral is one. But that was what I wanted to talk about tonight. I think it was very interesting actually, because I didn't know what I wanted to talk about. And I'm sat here going, come on Ben, you need to be creative. And I can't remember the exact thought process I did to get to the idea of playing these narratives in my mind. Actually, I do. It was in the gym today when I observed this happening. I said, I gotta make a video on this. I think I saw it in the shower as well. Not saw it, but I thought of it again. But annoyingly, by the time I got out, it had left my mind, and I was trying to rack my brain because I remember forgetting something. You know those times when you've forgotten something, but you know you've forgotten it because you had some state of mind which you were in, and you're like, it can't change that quickly for no reason, or it can't be so drastic a change that before my mind was empty. No, it had something important because you can just feel it. That's what I have for tonight. I hope if you can relate to this, you can try and implement the same strategy I am with this phenomenon. Thank you for watching. I'm rooting for you.